Hesper Hyman, and this is my AEP858 Module 17 Data Analysis Protocol. So what I created was a PDF document, and the reason for this is that I felt like that it would be easy to be able to share and to send out to team members as we needed it. And so what I've done is I've put a place for, of course, name and date, and then the essential question, what is it that we're going to be looking at? When we first start this, we might not have the essential question narrowed down, and it might come more in the second step, but it kind of gives us a place so that we can always remember to go back and focus back onto that essential question. So what I've done is I have broken down the data analysis protocol into 6 steps. And I've given each step a time limit of approximately 10 minutes. The reason for this is that I want to make sure that we are moving forward continuously and we just don't get stalled in one section and get tangled up there. So I want us to constantly be moving forward. With each section, then I have also given a descriptor and then some questions that we could be asking ourselves. Now, of course, these aren't all the questions, but these are just some leading questions. So in step 1, I call this the orientation step. This is to describe the assessment and define the use. So what are the skills that we're going to be analyzing? Are we looking at a specific TEK? Are we looking at, an overall, what is it we're doing? Does the data that we have in front of us support our essential question? So is it going to support what we're looking for? And do we need any other data? Question number 2 is the question step. So here we're going to identify the questions. So this is kind of going to be the follow-up to the essential question, such as what are we needing to know? What is the things that we need from this data to be able to answer our essential question? What support is there for the essential question in our data? Does the essential question need to be reevaluated? And sometimes when you start out with that essential question and you think this is the pathway I'm going, once you start digging a little bit deeper into that data, you might have to go back and tweak that a little bit. And so that's why I put that in there. Third is the pattern step. We're going to identify patterns, trends as they're emerging in the data. We also want to look at both our strengths and our weaknesses. So here we're going to identify patterns and trends. What are our strengths and what are our weaknesses? Sometimes I believe with data analysis, we get so stuck on just looking for our weaknesses that we don't look at our strengths. From our strengths, we can then take that data and we can apply it to our areas of weaknesses sometimes. So we need to make sure that we're identifying both areas there. Next is the action step. This is determine steps to address the patterns or the needs that we have. What instructional factors led to our strengths or weaknesses? What went on in the classroom? What led up to, was it an overall assessment and you hadn't gotten to all the data that you needed to cover? Was it an on-the-fly assessment? Half of the students got it, half of them didn't. So, what happened in instruction? How will we address the weaknesses? Okay, this is going to be a lot of brainstorming on this part. So what are we going to be looking at to be able to get to address those weaknesses? How and when will reassessment happen? We have to make sure that once we are addressing the weaknesses, are we looking at just a simple reteach in one day? Are we looking at a module review that could take up to a week? Or are we looking at this being a semester goal? I also put in here the differentiation step because you are going to have those students that aren't going to get this by a simple reteach or a tier 1 intervention that's going to happen in the classroom. They're going to need a little bit more assistance. So who in the data that we're looking at is going to require additional assistance? What assistances are needed or available? So what do we have and how are they going to benefit these students? And what is the time frame for this assistance? Is this going to be ongoing? Is this going to be just for the week or just for the lesson? And then last, we have to look to the future. This is the improvements to future instruction. We want to make sure that we are identifying future instructions. We're going to be taking this data and this information. We're going to be identifying how we're going to be moving forward. Identifying any future assessments that we're going to need to do. And then we need to make sure we have a very secure timeline for our reevaluation. We can't just say, when we get to the end of this module, we will reevaluate. We need to make sure that we're coming back together to see, did we answer our essential question? And did we make improvements? We've got to constantly be moving forward. So this is the outline that I would give my teachers. and my group to kind of give them an idea of what questions to look at. And then I also created it as a blank document that then could be written on. Now, of course, this area is not too big, so some little shorthand, or if you needed to write something separately. So I really think that this is going to be a great document that I will use moving forward, not only in my own personal classroom, but then as I move into administration, to be able to help drive some of those data protocols that we need to address. So thank you so much for watching my presentation.